Ben Simmons sounds very optimistic about this upcoming season with the Brooklyn Nets. He recently sat down with Mark J. Spears over at Anscape, and when asked what's his goal for next year, pretty much, here's what Ben had to say. Let me know your thoughts. He said, "It's for me to come back and dominate. That would be great. I don't intend to come back the same player I was last season because that's not even close to where I'm at now. I get excited because I'm like, dang, I would ish on the player I was last year, but I know where I was at last year, so it's easy to say that, but it's just fun to go out there and do the thing that you love when you're out there. That's the reality for me. I don't ask for too much. Sometimes I think about my recent struggles and I'm like, dang, that was a lot. Sometimes I sit down and break it down. That was exhausting and I had to deal with all that, but I feel like there are different situations you can handle, and this is a good test for me. How much worse can it get? Oh man, what a horrible life. Making $25-30 million a year and pretty much missed the last couple years for the most part because you've been quote unquote injured and afraid to take jump shots. What an awful life to make $30 million while you rehab injuries that many people don't even know what the heck's even injured. Oh, and demand trades out of Philadelphia and get to Brooklyn and find yourself out of the rotation. What an awful life. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't be feeling these NBA player stories like that. You want to know what stories I'm into right now? I'm really into the running back debacle in the NFL because it really doesn't feel right with me. As a matter of fact, I cringe. For those who don't know, obviously NBA's my passion, my love, my first true love. But I do watch the NFL often. A lot of it, if we're being honest. I watch a lot of NFL football on Sundays. I think a real issue that to me is worth striking over, if anybody's going to strike out there, it's the running backs in the NFL and the way that they're being treated right now. Like, I'm at the point now, I don't want to go on an NFL deep dive, but I'm like, yo, they might as well consider receivers and running backs just the same type of position. Like, let's just get rid of running back versus receiver and call them all whatever, one and the same assets, talents, players that make plays, whatever you want to call them, because running backs are getting screwed. Those are guys that I empathize with if I'm going to empathize with any $1 million athletes. I don't have a lot of empathy for Ben Simmons, if I'm being honest with you. I hope he comes back and plays at an elite level. Ben Simmons still only 27 years of age. I'm 29. I'm 2 years older than Ben. I covered Ben when I was at Tennessee when LSU came to Knoxville and played, and he missed the first half of that basketball game. If I remember correctly, there were questions about Ben Simmons' commitment to Louisiana State University at the time, but keep in mind, a lot of people gave Ben a pass. He had an NBA future on the horizon. He ended up going on to be the #1 pick in the 2016 NBA draft. You could always say, yo, Ben knew he wasn't getting paid to play college ball. He had the NBA in his future. His mind was already on the next level. The problem is, oftentimes at the level that Ben wanted to get to so badly, we've seen some of that same stuff that we saw for a few months at the collegiate level. The question marks, the lack of shooting jump shots is still a thing for Ben Simmons this far in his career. Keep in mind, this dude is a 3-time All-Star. Like, Ben is not nothing to snub at. With all his flaws, this dude was well on his way to being an elite level point guard for a decade strong because of his body. Ben's got a great body, by the way. Everything you can say about Ben, his body still looks the part. He obviously can dribble, all that great stuff. The problem is he won't shoot. And I hear Ben saying, yo, all this stuff I went through to get back. I actually went through and read Mark's interview with Ben. And one of the things Ben said was he actually got injured back in February of 2020. He said that was the first time he started having back issues, and then some knee issues came down the line. To me, that would be a more believable story, that he's really been dealing with injuries the last 3 years, and injuries only if we don't have the trade demand in there. See, that's what throws everything off. Ben didn't want to play basketball for Philadelphia anymore. And to me, I just think it's hard to sell fans on, yo, bro, I've really been injured this entire time. Because the type of love that Ben's expecting the entire NBA world to have for him, that's what your hometown gives you. I know Philadelphia's a tough place to play, but they are a city of brotherly love for a reason, damn it. Like, he should have never demanded out of Philly. If it was straight injuries and he knew he didn't have leverage like that to be going places playing healthy basketball, he should have waited. He should have just held it out and did what Philly needed him to do and rehabbed on that dollar. Instead, he demands out, teasing fans with a good time. He goes to Brooklyn, definitely not ready to play in a postseason. Remember, he gets traded by the deadline and was not ready to go as the Nets got swept by the Celtics 2 postseasons back. And then last year, he's thrown into the KD Kyrie drama. He was traded for Harden, obviously. And now he's supposed to come in and be the point guard and the best defender to give a little bit of a break to guys like KD and Kyrie. He's not ready to go. And then Kyrie and KD look around and say, I don't want to play here either. They both get up out of there. And now Ben, to me, is in a worse spot than ever, despite being on a team that's not in championship contention anymore. I'm looking around at this Brooklyn Nets squad. They got a lot of guys vying to get to that next level that's working hard. And to me, I don't think it's a coincidence that Ben fell out of Jock Vaughn's rotation by the end of the season, because these are dudes that are trying to get from C level in the league to B level. You know, Mikal Bridges is a guy that's trying to go from the B plus level to that A level. These are all guys that are still trying to establish what their legacies will be. You're talking about guys like Cam Johnson. These are guys, Dorian Finney-Smith. These are guys that are still trying to make a name for themselves and in love with the game of basketball. It's not something that you question night in, night out. To me, that's a tougher position for Ben to be in. I always thought that Ben was going to get moved to the Toronto Raptors and pretty much get an opportunity to really start over with a team that's been very much so interested in him a couple times over, and in the trade market. I don't know how it's going to work for Ben. I just know that trying to play the game of, I've been injured, y'all. I'm back now, though. I just don't think it's going to work like that. I don't believe Brooklyn even cares that much. And the thing with the NBA is fans will move on. And I just don't think fans are into the Ben Simmons storyline anymore. Because I think at the end of the day, Ben can try to sell us on injuries all he wants. The reality is, before he got hurt, he didn't take jump shots at all. You couple that up with the fact that he wasn't happy in Philly, and he's saying he was nowhere near healthy. I mean, you got a player that you literally couldn't put out on the court last year. I don't know, man. I just don't have empathy for the Ben Simmons story. I don't. This guy was given a great opportunity coming into the league, and I still will rest on the heel of he just kind of mishandled it. If you met Ben Simmons' parents before, which I actually did meet after that Tennessee game briefly, I just was kind of reading them. Obviously, they didn't know me or anything like that, but I knew who they were. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a friend that was dating Ben Simmons at the time. You knew that wasn't going to last. The parents didn't like the friend, right? Because they wanted their son to be focused on basketball. If I'm not mistaken, they made the friend of mine's move out of the Ben Simmons section in Knoxville for the game. And the reason why I bring that up is Ben Simmons' parents were very much so focused on his career early on. I wonder, are they that passionate about him now? If his parents were that focused and that prideful about their son's career, I don't think Ben matched their energy. I don't know what that brother does in his off time, but you hear Kardashian-like rumors about Ben Simmons. And I'm sorry, y'all. If I'm going to have sympathy for an NBA story, it's the stories like Derrick Rose that bother me. A guy that was given the game of basketball his all and had so many knee surgeries. He literally said, if I have another one, I'm literally never going to play basketball again because I want to be able to walk at 40. Like, that's what I empathize with. Like, doesn't that sound like a great story? This guy's like, yo, bro, I love this so much that I'm just going to have to walk away from it because I will literally not be able to walk if I keep getting surgeries on my knees to try to compete at a great level, at that high level that I once played in. That's the stories I empathize with, not the guy that demanded a trade out of Philly when things got tough and he wasn't taking layups in the playoffs, not the guy that seemingly is afraid to shoot the basketball. That's just not the story that I have a lot of empathy with. That's just me personally, but I am wishing Ben Simmons all the best next season.